booties for black girl nerds.
And this show, I saw the original, of course, and I think that this is definitely in the same vein as that. I especially love the grouping of your three characters because each of them is kind of shrouded with a lot of press, a lot of things that we have been told one way, and then we're slowly finding out like maybe everything we've heard isn't true. So, starting with you, Jay, tell us what you enjoy playing most about your character of Jesus Christ.
I mean, just to be able to play the most holy man ever was already such an honor in this world for sure. I'll say like getting to like just go in and play I guess three different versions of Jesus is what I
Mhm.
got to do. Was getting to think of Jesus in three completely different ways and how he would respond in a situation or how he would, cause problems, create problems, or solve problems even in some of those situations. It was just so much fun. And I think the freedom that this group of producers gave us in knowing where like, the source material of History of the World Part One has gone and kind of how far we can push. I think I loved every version and getting to like just play with choices and do something different literally on every single take. And just find out who these characters were while we were rolling.
I really enjoyed Dreadlocked Black Jesus, so that was very fun for me. How about you, Zazie, with Mary
Yeah,
Magdalene?
yeah. I mean, I just enjoyed to, I think she's such an interesting character, like, I guess, like historically or biblically, I feel like there's so many different takes on who she is and what her relationship was like with Jesus and whatnot. And so obviously this is all a comedy, but it was kind of fun to just, I don't know, take a stab at her. I think particularly also the young romance one, because I feel like this Mary Magdalene is sort of shrouded in this controversy in a way, and then to play her is kind of just like sort of like lovesick young woman. I think was kind of, I think fun and lovely. And yeah, it was just I just went in kind of full throttle just to have a good time.
Quinta Brunson as he looked broke and nerdy was fantastic. I love the way that you two played off of each other. And we
Go. I was just gonna profess my love for Quinta.
she's
She's the
fabulous.
best on and off screen.
And Josh playing Shakespeare himself, the devil himself. Tell us about what that was like and what your favorite part was.
The devil himself, as he's formerly
I'm
known.
gonna leave these women.
It was, look, to me, this icon that is William Shakespeare is as iconic to me as Mel Brooks. So to be able to marry these two iconic wordsmiths, both using very different means to get their points across together, it was just such a thrill. And again, there's this element of like this zaniness and silliness in terms of this type of comedy that frankly doesn't exist anymore or doesn't have a platform. And I think for all of us, it was so, specifically for me, it was so refreshing and such a great reminder of why I fell in love with this kind of comedy as a kid. And such a reminder that this comedy is as fresh as ever. And it's so exciting and it feels like it's so needed and necessary right now against the backdrop of sort of the cynicism of the world and the darkness of the world to just have silly, incredibly dumb at times, but also incredibly sophisticated at times, zany Mel Brooks comedy. That to me was the great joy here. And the creative team, I think, really hit the mark.
Well, it's definitely a modern revival of slapstick. And I truly enjoyed it. It had so many of my faves, and it was just pure Mel Brooks. There were a lot of callbacks and mentions and Easter eggs kind of thrown in, and so it was a really fun time. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk with me, and
Thank you, Stacey.
congrats. Wish you the best.
Thanks, Stacey.
Fabulous.
Oh,
Let me
you've
get more
got the
questions.
poster.
Oh, you got to,
I know I'm not in. It's fine. There's a lot of people in the movie.
We're gonna scratch you in. However, I was about to say it's like we're saving the best for last. That's what we're doing. When I heard that you were going to be in this, I was like, Pam Adlon, oh my goodness, and it was very exciting.
You. I can't believe I'm in it either.
Tell me how you got involved with it.
So Nick and I are old buddies for many years, and we do like animation together, and so like Big Mouth and Human Resources. And so he texted me and he said, "Do you want to play my wife in History of the World Part 2?" And I said, "Voice or face parts?" And he texted back, "Face parts." And I texted him back like a fangul hand emoji, like oi. And I mean, if Nick Kroll asks you to come over and help him clean his bathroom, what are you going to say? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like anything. And so that's how it happened. And through the course of doing like these interviews today, you realize what a deep impact Mel Brooks, had on my life. Like I go back to my childhood and I'm a kid and I'm listening to Free to Be You and Me on vinyl, and I'm imitating Mel's voice and Marlo Thomas's voice doing the babies. Hi, I'm a baby. Well, what do you think I am? A loaf of bread? Like I remember every word of that entire skit, and then the 3,000-year-old man, and then Young Frankenstein, and then High Anxiety, and like the level of satire and parody that he was dealing in is so the timing of this couldn't be more perfect, because that is in such fucking jeopardy now, and nobody has a sense of fucking humor anymore at all. And so it's like just like being able to be part of that, and the fact that Mel is like here, and we should all be giving our elders their flowers, but
Right.
this isn't even like passive flowers. He got to be involved in this actively, and he gets to see like this generation of talent, like from History of the World Part 1, honoring him and taking his thing to another level. And we need that right now.
Well, I think you're right in that humor has definitely evolved, but in that, I think the old school kind of slapstick has gotten lost. And this is a really interesting way to kind of reintroduce the next generation to that, because then they'll be able to kind of modernize it and make it evolve even more.
Absolutely.
Right. What I love about Fanny Mudman is she's a little bit of a scoundrel. She is a go-getter and she's tough, but she's also like, whatever, this was arranged. We'll figure it out.
I know.
Tell us what you love about her. Yeah.
I know. It's really true. I was like, I mean, Russia invaded Ukraine when this job started happening, and my daughter was like, I don't want you to do that. Like she was afraid, and I was like, I don't think they're going to find out about, it's going to be okay. I'm taking one for the team. And so, yeah, she's, a very kind of like modern feminist, but when you look back, all women in history are boss ass bitches. They just are.
Period.
It's not a new thing. It's not a new thing.
Well, I certainly enjoyed her in this. I enjoyed you, of course, in this series. I think everyone is going to have an amazing time. Thank you so much for taking a little time to talk
Nice
with
to meet
me
you. Of
about this. It
course.
was so fun.
Yeah. I'll
And
talk to you again soon, I hope.
yes, I'm friends with Gideon or Odessa, sorry, with Odessa. And
You
so I see her
are?
constantly. Yeah. So she's a sweetheart.
Oh my
Absolute
God.
sweetheart.
Your name's Stacy Yvonne? Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah, I just saw her at the Outer Banks thing with Drew. So
Oh, you were there?
yeah.
Was
So
that
tell her I
crazy?
say
It was
hi.
like a
It
mini
was so
Coachella?
fun. It was wild. Yeah. It was young. It was very young.
It was young. Perfect description.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much. Yeah, we got the history of the
I
world.
love
We're
it.
Really
ready.
great, Stacey. Really great.
I will say the different vignettes and characters that you guys played, specifically with the Civil War and with Ooh Ooh Shirley, was everything to me. I had such a fun time. Now, I was talking with Dave, and he said originally Nick had spoken with Mel, and then they went to you, Wanda. So, what was
Yes.
it that made this project so appealing to you?
Oh my God, it's Mel Brooks. That's all I needed to hear. All I needed to hear, Mel Brooks. And Nick Crow, yeah, okay. We'll take it.
Not
We'll
a
take
fan,
it.
but I'll take
We'll
it.
take
Sure.
it.
If it
We'll
means
take
I can
it.
meet Mel, I'll deal with Nick Kroll.
There we go. Same
But
for you, Ike.
Yes, yes. I mean, it was a ridiculous conversation because Nick, who I've been friends with for a long time, calls me and is like, "Hey, would you and Dave want to work with me, Wanda, and Mel Brooks on History of World War II?" I'm like, "What else are you going to? Are you going to be like, also your grandpa who passed away in 1985 will be there, and all
Right.
your pets throughout the years?" It was like, oh my Lord. So it was the world's fastest yes for me.
Now, you also both took part in writing, is that correct?
Mhm.
As well. So, when it came to the Shirley of it all, what was the decision behind making that a sitcom to kind of highlight her life?
Uh, I knew I wanted to do something with Shirley Chisholm. That was one of the characters that I wanted to play. And these guys came back and they pitched me, we're going to make it a 70s sitcom. And I'm knowledgeable in the multicam world. That's what I love that genre. So it to me, it just made sense, 70s, and of the wardrobe. Oh, come on. Who don't want to rock polka dots and plaids? Come on.
So nice.
Beautiful.
So nice. So nice.
But
The order was great.
yeah, but it was just so much fun to be able to poke fun of the format, but also be very gentle and treat Miss Chisholm with the respect that and the love and admiration that she deserves, but also have some fun.
And I loved also the Civil War segment of it all, and trying to pretend like you're Confederate soldiers. And there are so many things in there that made me laugh because I was like, I've experienced this in different ways. So it's fantastic. Ike, tell us about kind of putting that scene together.
Well, it's, I early on was like, I want to do a Civil War story. I think I could, Grant seems like a very funny character because he was this kind of great war hero, but he was a very complicated man who was a bit of a drinking problem. And so, we wanted to kind of tell two stories with it. We wanted to kick it off with Grant and how him and, Abe Lincoln's son go off and they have to find themselves in West Virginia and pretend to be Confederates. But then we needed our rescue mission, right? Every Western has like the rescue mission. So we had this idea of like, let's get like the three worst soldiers in the Union Army. And we just created this trio of Tyler James Williams, Tim Baltz, and Zahn McClarnon as our hapless three heroes.
So good.
They were just so funny and so sweet and earnest and stupid and ridiculous. And it just kind of, when we put it all out there together, it gave you this nice story where you're able to kind of go from one aspect and then focus on these three guys. And then Harriet shows up and saves everyone. And then we have a nice little ending.
And F the North is still one of my favorites.
F the North is a pretty fun
That was
song.
great.
It was in my,
it's a banger.
while we were in post, I was either like at my house singing like F the North. And then my wife's like, hey, that has a swear word in it and you have children. So then I just started singing Shirley's theme. So now my 9-year-old
so
knows
good.
a lot about Shirley Chisholm.
That theme song is a banger for Ooh Ooh Shirley. It was
Slaps. From
everything.
Barbados to Brooklyn, then to DC.
Oh my God, don't get me started. I love it. Thank you guys so much for taking time to talk with me about this amazing series. I love all the little Easter eggs, all the Mel Brooks stuff that like only the true kind of diehard people really get. And it's wonderful, even on the rewatch, you pick up so much more stuff. So thank you for putting
Thank
this
you.
together and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate it.
Stacey.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Stacey.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
This is such a massive undertaking, and not just in the idea of, pushing out so many episodes, but in living up to the history of the world part one, which was its own juggernaut, which was its own kind of beast. Starting with you, David, tell me kind of how you got involved with the project, and do you think that you did it? Do you think you are able to kind of hold your head high?
It's a good question. Well,
It is a good question.
I'm proud that I got to work with Mel. That's the first thing I'll say. So like, yeah, I hold my head high because of that. I got to work with Mel Brooks, my first comedic influence. It started with, I think, Nick and Mel agreeing to do a sequel, and Nick and Wanda teaming up, and then they, because they're both so busy and multi-hyphenates, wanting some writers who are just going to like help run the writer's room day to day. That luckily enough became Ike and me. We're a writing and producing team. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it started. And yeah, it really, I'm proud of it, but only I'm proud of it because it took so many people to do it together. And it's such a great group of people. And, I still keep in touch with so many people from the show, even though we wrapped almost a year ago. And everyone works so hard on it, and so many people make contributions. So it's nice that we get to see, celebrate it a little bit right now.
It is a huge cast with a lot of moving parts. And Ellis, did you direct all of the episodes?
I directed a portion of all of the episodes.
Gotcha.
I guess I did all the tent poles, like the kind of wraparound stories. So the Shirley Chisholm story, the Bible story, the Russian Revolution, Civil War, and then many of the sketches also. But Dave also directed, as did Nick. Directed at least, he did maybe one or two sketches, but all the kind of the ending of the Bible story.
Well, so when you were putting it together, was it that you just had different scenes, like this is the Jesus scene, this is that, or did you have any idea of an order that you were going to put them in?
Oh, okay. So, basically we just kind of treated them as separate, distinct scripts, I would say. All of those tent poles were like one whole cohesive script. I mean, really the closest thing to a movie as we were doing. And those were all kind of more cinematically or stylistically more ambitious, storytelling wise, more ambitious too. And in the cases of those tent poles, we, for the most part, stuck with the script with some flourishes and improv along the way. Whereas the sketches were also had scripts, of course, that were great, but they more often than not, we did a lot more improv with the sketches and had a lot more fun with those. And so they were different in that way, where there's more cinematic ambition in one and one maybe freer in the other. But and then as far as ordering goes, that's just nature of sketch shows. It's like in the edit, you're always moving sketches around, trying to see what works best as an episode.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was extremely well done in terms of the pacing, and I especially loved the Shirley show. That was everything. That theme song got stuck in my head, and every time I came on, I was like, "Ooh, ooh, Shirley!" We're just ready to go.
Yeah.
I want to know. I'm starting with you, David. What was the sketch that you were most looking forward to?
Oh wow! Well, I love all the tentpoles, but I've never worked on a multicam sitcom, and I had so much fun doing Shirley. Like in grad school, I'd done a multicam sitcom as like a class, and I'd forgotten. And it was like, they made it pretty realistic, but this was so much fun to be like on the fly, just like changing jokes, and just the way that we brought in a live audience to like help with like where we were going to place the mixed in laughs. And I don't know, I think Alice had a great time too doing the multicam. And
I did, because we were shooting it. I mean, we could have easily shot it in the single camera style because we have these loose cameras and we're on a set, you know, but we wanted to play within the rules of how you would shoot a sitcom as far as like the filmmaking goes. And so there would be times where it's like you just limited by that sort of proscenium 3-wall set thing, and it was just fun to like work within those limitations. And I mean, obviously Wanda was so funny in that role. It's such a great cast, and working with Marla Gibbs was incredible. Kim Whitley, Colton Dunn too, like really just such a great cast. So such a good group of people.
It really came together, and for having as many moving parts as you did, I think that it just went together beautifully, and I can't wait for more people to see it. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me about the project.
Oh, our pleasure, Stacey. Thank you.
Yes, and David, I'm looking forward to Maximum Truth. So
thank you.
when that comes, I'm going to talk to you again.
Yeah, you'll have to change the backdrop for the actual.
There we go. All right, take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.